What's going on, guys? I wanted to film an update to my home-built anodizer video that I recently posted due to a couple of problems recently coming to light after that video was posted. And first, I do want to thank one of my viewers. His name is Ronnie Hanina. Hopefully I didn't butcher that too bad. But we had a little bit of a discussion going in the comment section about some problems I was having, as well as some things he saw with the circuit. And I'm very grateful that he pointed some things out that I really didn't initially think about, and kind of got me on the right path to fixing some problems here. So just to kind of get into it, one of the problems I had that I didn't really talk to him about with or mention in the video, but I did have a problem with my GFCI. It really wasn't very reliable. It wasn't testing or resetting properly. I'd plug things in and it would trip, and it was kind of doing a few other crazy things. So I ultimately determined that I had some bad connections there, and ended up kind of redoing everything from the power to the outlet side, as well as to the switch. Now originally I'd used some solid core wire, which was really a bad idea for something that's going to be crammed into a box like this. And it's really not made for these little spade connectors either, as they can get loose and not really have a good connection. So I ended up taking an old extension cord with some stranded wire inside of it, and kind of swapped that out, and also used some wire nuts to kind of help put everything back together as well. And that'll provide a much more reliable connection, a much more reliable feed to the outlet, to the switch, and everything else. Now the other thing I did initially, I'd ran my power supply for my meter off the load side of my GFCI. That really wasn't necessary and just kind of complicated things further. So I kind of moved that over to in between the power supply and the outlet. And that'll be a lot more reliable for this, and it should hopefully give me fewer problems there, as this wasn't really coming on every time. I think it was screwing with the GFCI, and this works a lot better. Now the other thing, and kind of the major problem I was having, as you may have seen in the video when I shocked myself, I was getting some stray voltage between ground and then the output of my Variac. And you may have seen that I jumped quite a bit when the meter only said about 1 or 2 volts on it. Actually what I was getting through this was anywhere from 60 to 120 volts AC between ground and the positive terminals on the Variac there. And I really couldn't figure that out at first, and I guess I didn't really think about it too hard. But Ronnie pointed out some things that really got me going on the right path there, and he had mentioned maybe that I had some of my positive feeds reversed. And I didn't really think that was much of a possibility, and kind of, I guess, pushed that out of my mind, because I did double check several times my outlet and my incoming feed, but I didn't really think about the power supply to the Variac. And just to show you what I'm talking about here, and maybe give a little bit of a history lesson, this is an old vintage Variac. It doesn't have many of the, or any really, of the modern day safety features that most power equipment now has, more specifically with regards to polarity and plugging in into an outlet. And when these Edison style outlets were first being manufactured, which is what these are on the front here, and I believe what they're still called on your modern day home outlets. But when they're first producing these, polarity really wasn't that big of a concern. Most things that plugged into these outlets could really go either direction. Now a little bit later, polarity did become an issue, so one way they kind of addressed that was to start making one side of the plug a little bit bigger. Here's a good example. To where it could only be plugged in one way in the outlet, and of course the outlets had to follow that design too, one hole being larger, one being smaller. You can see on this old one I could plug this in any direction that I want to. On the newer one it only goes one way. So Just a real quick example there. And then of course 3-pronged outlets came into being, ground prongs, and added safety features there, which in this application would be more for protecting you from line voltage to the chassis. Really not worried about that. I could modify that probably pretty easily to be grounded, but I'm probably not going to worry about that right now. But nevertheless, because of that design, obviously in this case, having a power switch, one side does need to be hot, one side needs to be common, but it can still be plugged in either way. And what was happening was my hot side was being plugged into my common side of the outlet, and then the hot, or the line voltage, was coming in through more or less the back end of the circuit, which was supplying voltage to this constantly. So after I figured that out with Ronnie's help, I went ahead and figured out which side was hot, or which side went in front of the switch here. And I went ahead and marked that, and just have to make sure I plug that in the right way. And as far as I could tell, that eliminated all of my stray voltage problems that I was having. Now, the other thing I did do, just a real quick little modification. I went ahead and added a little color chart that I printed out. You can get this at MrTitanium.com, as well as a couple other places. Went ahead and printed that out, just a small copy, taped it to the top of my box, just as a quick reference. And that'll be a little bit more useful than trying to look it up on my phone every time, or just doing it by trial and error. Now again, these are approximate, but they'll get me in the ballpark. Now I do still need to change these banana plugs out, as when the DC, although the AC is removed, once that DC is cranked up, it will still be live there. So I do still have some on order. Hopefully be receiving those, swapping those out soon. And then the other thing, one last thing I might do, just to kind of improve the circuit a little bit, is when I built this, I did kind of forego the current limiter with bypass, which is just some power resistors on a 3-way switch to the anode. And supposedly that's just for kind of slowing down the anodizing process a little bit. It's probably not completely necessary as far as needing it to work the machine, but I will probably go ahead and add something like that in there. Maybe put another 3-way switch on the top here. So that's pretty much it for the update now. I'll probably make another video if I add that switch or do anything else to the box. But again, I do want to thank my viewer Ronnie for helping me walk through some of these things and getting it figured out. And I guess I should have known better, but you know, sometimes we overlook the simple things. So always nice to have some extra eyes on that. And part of the reason I post these videos up for you guys to kind of catch me. So once again, thank you, and thank you everybody for watching. Any comments, questions, leave them below. We'll see you on the next vid.